Well, good evening, Steelers. If you're out there and if you can hear me, give me a shout in the chat. Let me know if you can actually hear me. I'm running this through the computer tonight, so I've not got my mic on. But let's just see what happens. I've got looks like a red warning symbol on my OBS, but we'll just see what happens with that. If you can hear me, give me a shout. If you can't, give me a shout as well and let me know, and I'll try and sort out the sound for you. This is my first stream for 2 months, I think it is. Hey, Artist Talb, good to have you on board. First stream for, hey there, how you do, Alan, Nigel, good to have you. And Carl, good, there's a good number of you out there. First stream I've had since before Christmas. Actually, I think it's 2 months. 2 months now, and I've just not had a chance to be honest to do any. Real life has taken over a little bit, unfortunately. So I've just been a bit quiet. So I thought with Sonic Sledgehammer doing his first stream today, evening Joe, evening Richard. With Sonic doing his live stream today, I thought, well, I'll get back to it. I'll do one as well. He made me push me over the edge, so to speak. Obviously, first thing I'm going to say is hit that like button if you're watching. It never goes amiss. Doesn't hurt you, eh? And it gives me some likes. I've already done a bit of wood painting. Evening, Andy. I've already done a bit of painting tonight before I started here. Just after my tea. The things I've finished off, I got a load of aircraft from Jim Weir again, and these are a bit earlier than the ones I did have that I did finished. It's plastic crack last night and the steel tonight, my cup overflow. Good stuff. I don't think I'm going to get over 100 people watching, unfortunately, on this one, Carl, but thanks anyway, that's great. And I started on these Fokker Eindeckers. So these are like 15, 16, 1915, 16. I painted them dead easy, obviously, really simple. So I just get those done earlier on there. They're done and done, out of the way. So I'm just going to stick those to one side. I've had quite a lot of other stuff come in as well, even today, in fact, but also just this week as well. I've been doing bits and pieces. One of the things I started to work on, howdy from Colorado, howdy from Welcome. This is one of the things I started to work on. It's a little hotel or like a little main building kind of thing, and it's in Colonial style, and I'm going to be using it for Malaya. I basically put it together, I think, on Sunday. I had a bit of a quiet painting weekend this weekend because I just finished off all the aircraft that I've been done recently. But this is from Sarissa, really nice. Really went together really well. You can see lots of data how you're at. There's a lot of detail on it, even for an MDF building, which is great. However, I was messing about with my airbrush and it wouldn't work at all on Sunday, so it really annoyed me. Because what I wanted to do was just do some pre-shading on this, just like black in some of these areas here, and then I was going to give it a spray over with white, just to give it a bit of modulation's probably the wrong word, but basically just a bit of shading, pre-shading. But unfortunately my airbrush is not working and I've fallen out with it. So this has gone to one side for a minute. And I want to make a little courtyard as well for it. And I've got some plastic material sheets on the way to me, which I'm going to use make a courtyard out of for this. So that's going to be a specific model. That's going to get done at some point in the future. In other news today as well, I had a massive amount of buildings arrive from Sabotaged and also from Paint and Glue as well. These are all 3D prints. Paul sent these over to me. These are all 15mm scale. You can see these here. There's some ruined ones here. I can't even remember how many there's in here, to be honest. He's also sent me a load of walls as well. So get yourself out and go and patronise Sabotaged 3D prints, because he is a really, really good 3D printing firm and does some great stuff as well. So what the plan is overall is to get these and change all my handmade stuff that I've had since about 1996 to change, get these basically swap them out completely. So I've got completely different buildings. The only thing with these ones is these ones in particular are solid pieces. The ones from Paint and Glue aren't solid pieces, but these ones are. And obviously, because I play stuff like Chain of Command and things, you want to have figures in the buildings. So what I've thought I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a floor plan for each one of the buildings where the windows are, and then they will be just off table because they're only small. You can get quite a few onto an A4 sheet and just have an identifier so we know which building it is, and then I'll be able to have the figures on the sheet off the table, and the buildings themselves will be perfect. I don't know if Paul does these in 28mm, Nigel, but these ones are 15mm, but I think Paint and Glue certainly do them in 28mm, but Paul will probably be able to sort you out. If you drop him a message, Paul Edwards on Twitter, I follow him, so if you go and follow him, he's amazing Ed or something, I think his Twitter handle is. Go and just have a word with him, and I'm sure he'll be able to sort you out, Nigel, with the 28mm ones. But they're beautiful buildings, really, really nice, and there's tons in there. So what I'm going to do is work my way through those. That's going to take me a hell of a long time to get those done. But I think they're going to look all right when they're done. They're going to be quite easy. Hey Gary, how are you doing? Good to have you on board. So that's the stuff that's coming from the post. The other thing I've been doing as well is sorting out my old jungle terrain. Let me just get this. I should have got this earlier. Sorry, not prepared. See how crazy it is. So I've got these on the table, but I should have brought them forward. One of the things I've been doing is, this is the old jungle terrain that I made quite a long time ago. These ones here, they're based on CDs, as you can see here. And what I've done is I've actually started them up, and I've gone totally different. Right, if the buildings are hollow but not separate walls, why not find a mate with a bandsaw or something and then cut them into? I could do, but then evening Michelangelo. I could do, but then the thing is, the problem when you're cutting through it, it can make a bit of a mess, and you know, if you've got a thick bandsaw, it's the two halves may not go together so well. So I know what you're saying, but I like the idea of just having a floor plan just off the table that you can put your figures on, because then you're also, because they're relatively small as well. Let me just show you this before I talk about these. Getting your fingers in and out to put the figures in, it's going to be quite difficult anyway. So from a gaming point of view, just practicalities, I think it's going to be just going to be a bit of a bit easier to do it as a floor plan. But these are my old jungle terrain, and you can see they're relatively basic. And the thing with these ones, the problem with these is the palm trees kept snapping off, and I was racking my brains as to how to do these. And I watched a couple of videos, and basically I've made these ones instead, which are with 5mm foam board. So you can actually dig into them and plant the trees, literally plant the trees into the foam board, glue them in place, and they're a lot solider. And that's what I want, because I want something that's solid for the game that I don't have to keep repairing. And again, they're just on CDs. But I'm going to make a video about these in the next couple of weeks. Probably won't come out for a while because I've got such a lot of videos backed up anyway. But cheers, Nigel. But tonight I'm going to be working on some of these, because I've already got 2 here ready without anything on. So this is what tonight's goal is. Where did I get the palm trees from? They came from eBay. If you do a search around on eBay, you'll find cheap palm trees. I got them from China. You just get tons of them. And I got a bag. I don't know. I got a couple of bags, maybe about 20 or 30 in each of them. And hey, afternoon, Richard. Good to have you on board. Don't forget, folks, hit that like button if you're watching and enjoying. So I've got I've got a couple of bags of them, and they were literally pennies. Hi, Kevin. Good to have you on board. you know, for loads of them. And what I did, I have washed the trunks in Agrax just to give them a bit of flesh, and then also just touched up the ends of them as well with yellow paint, just a quick dry brush on the yellow, just to take away the kind of plasticky look that they had. But that's all I've done to them. Very simple job. But as I say, what I've done, I've got a couple of bases here. These ones are ready to go. They're basically foam board covered in plaster, and then I've covered that in sand, painted it, dry brushed it, and this is ready for the next stage. And the next stage is the nice smelling stage, which is going to be putting herbs on them. And I've got 3 here which I've actually finished with the herbs. I'll talk about that in a sec as I do them. But you can see here, these are already on. These have been drying all day, so these are solid. And I'm going to show you how I get them to this point where they're nice and solid. So there's these 2 I'm going to work on now, and then I'm going to come back and finish these 2 off. So there's going to be quite a bit of that. So this is what the plan is for tonight. So as I say, basically I need to get where we are. Here we are. I went into Tesco yesterday, and I bought myself. Was it yesterday? The day before? I bought myself a load of herbs and spices, and I got this is oregano, parsley, and Italian herbs all mixed together. So if you do get a bit peckish while you're making things, you can always make up a little soup or something to go with your gaming painting. But this can be quite messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you now how I'm doing it, and this is just basically what I want to do tonight, because it's a bit of a boring job. So it's a bit better if I've got company, even if it's you know, virtual company. Of course, no catnip. No, catnip is downstairs. The cat's kicking about up there somewhere, Richard. She was here a second ago. She's disappeared off again. But she'll be. She'd like it a lot if there was catnip in there. So first things, it does smell very good. It smells great. So the first thing is just PVA glue over the top. As I said, these are already painted, dry brushed, and you can do this as thick or as not thick as you want. And this is, I said, this is something I'm going to do a proper video on these at some point, because I want to do this. I'm just kind of, you're only going to get to see 1 or 2 of the stages in here tonight, but I will do a proper video that goes through all the stages of making these things. And I've got quite a lot more to do, but I've run out of the mounting board at this point, so I'm just kind of waiting for that to come through, and then I'll make a video and that'll be out. And as I've already got about 15 videos, no, I think it's about 13 videos backed up. So then we just sprinkle our herbs all over it, as the Americans say, or herbs in the UK, as we say it. Throw any questions into the chat if there's anybody out there. Say hello if you haven't said hello already. It's good to see quite a lot of people watching. 17 viewers at the moment, which is pretty good. As I say, nowhere near the levels of either Sonic or the Plastic Crack chaps, but good enough for me. Small and better, isn't it? It's a more refined audience. So that's it. There you go. That's almost ready. You couldn't use catnip. I hardly paint without a cast dive bombing me. Yeah. As I say, Tiny is kicking about here. Fatty's downstairs somewhere. She's too fat to actually move anywhere. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. The next bit is the bit that's a little bit more boring and time consuming. It wouldn't be if my sprayer was working, and my sprayer isn't working, which is very annoying. What do you say, Kev? You've bought a kilogram bag of mixed herbs and baked them in the oven. The smell was lovely, great. Yeah, it is. It is quite a nice. It's a nice old smell. It's like a pizzeria in here at the moment. You don't want to put too much. Well, again, it's entirely up to you. If you just want to do patches of where the the foliage is going to fall. And you can do this as well. It doesn't have to be jungle. This can be just for it can just be any kind of basing really. So for forests and stuff, if you want to do it, just do the colours slightly different. But you'll see what I'm going to do with them. Well, I'll talk about it when the video comes out. A couple of questions. Select group, absolutely. CC Audi. What topics did you want to cover this year? What do you mean, Andy? In videos I'm making, or in these chats? I kind of, or what projects am I working on? I guess projects wise, so First World War aircraft, they're taking up a lot. I'm also a lot of it is going to be a lot of those buildings. I think I'm sorting out a lot of terrain at the moment. So I've kind of got that's on my mind at the moment, just to up my terrain game, because I've got a lot of terrain that I've had for decades in some cases, and it's pretty old. It's pretty well past its sell by date from my point of view. Right, so let's have a look. Nigel, why use herbs rather than static grass? Because the herbs are, well, for a start, they look more like leaf foliage that's fallen. So from a forest point of view, they just look more like that. And also, because they're dried as well, they're a bit more harder. So they stand up a little bit more. And they just look a little bit more like leaves than static grass does. It just looks better, basically, is the bottom line. Talcum movie production. Catnip would be better for me. I think dog would chew the terrain piece if it smells like pizza. That's a very good point. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to get rid of Tiny if I had catnip up here. Yeah, videos. Well, I don't know, to be honest, Andy. I generally don't really plan these things out. I've tried to in the past, but it's never really worked, because I'll like start writing a script for something like a history video, and then I'll get bored of it halfway through and never finish it. So I've got loads of half-written scripts, and then I'll go and play a game instead of chain of command and film that instead. Because that, from my point of view, takes a lot. It's a lot quicker. I want to do a lot more on sharp practice this year. I'm including how to play video. I've kind of half written a script for that, and I really need to push it because they take a long time. Right, the next thing to do: PVA and water. So this is hit that like button. I've got 20 viewers and 7 likes. Hit the like button, please, people. So this is a 50-50 mix of PVA and water. It's probably a little bit. I probably really needed to do it 3-1 rather than 50-50. And annoyingly, my spray is not working, so that's why I've got the thing out. But I have got evening, Paul. Good to see you. Good to see you. What I've got is a little baster. So this is a long, boring process, but basically drop this stuff, the wet stuff, all over. It takes probably a little bit longer than it should if I had an actual sprayer. But what I'm doing now is getting as much of this wet PVA all over it, and then I'm going to leave this overnight to dry. And when it's dried in the morning, it will be rock solid, and everything will be fixed in place. It'll be perfect. It's really, this is really good for any kind of terrain that you're doing. Like if you're using rubble or anything like that, just absolutely soak it in PVA and water. A 50-50 mix is good if you've got a sprayer that will spray, but as you can see, I don't. So I'm just squirting it on here. Nigel says, I recently built a rural Russian church in MDF, which had its first outing Excellent. I saw the picture, Nigel. You sent me a photo of it. That's good. Good to see that you got it on the table. That's the main thing. Once it's dried, do I seal it? Seal it? Well, this pretty much seals it, Joe. This is the sealant. If you wanted to spray it with varnish, you could do. But so far, I haven't noticed anything, because what I do afterwards, when this is dried, which does take a hell of a long time, I'd say I'd leave it overnight for definite, just to get it completely dry. But once it has dried, I've ink washed it in basically in Vallejo's flat earth that has just been that's just been watered down with water, and then dries clear. Yes, it does. It does dry clear. Well, the thing is, does it dull the green? You asked. Well, I was talking to my mate the other day, and he said over time these will actually fade in colour anyway. So what we do is we paint them once the thing has dried. So the process is, and you will see this in the video when I finally get around to doing it, is we put this stuff all over it, let it dry, and then I'll do an ink wash in brown, whichever brown you want. I use Flat Earth by Vallejo. And then you will then I'll dry brush it in some green and then also some yellow as well, and that is then basically you've basically painted it, so you don't have to worry about it being dulled down or anything. And this is how they look when they're painted. So this is a jungle version, so you can see that's one I've just done. That's one obviously that's just drying, and then this is one that has now been dulled down with the. And the good thing as well about the with washing it in brown is it kind of ties all the colours together as well. So you can see here there's quite a stark difference between the green and the yellow of the different leaves, whereas here you've got you know, these you can still see a little bit of difference, but you've got like a lot more of a nicer colour across it rather than just that stark yellow and green. So that's how it works basically, and then you can do whatever you want. I mean, I'm doing these as jungle, so I've kind of given it a green dry brush. If I was going to do, and I'm probably going to do some wood bases as well, because I've got some wooden bases, but I'm probably going to tart them up a bit. I would probably then do those in more of a brown colour, so it looks like more like leaf foliage. Right, 1 second. I was going to put this over on the radiator, so that will then sit there overnight and dry. As I say, it's going to take at least a good 24 hours. What are you saying there, Nigel? Agrax works well on the MDF. Excellent. A nice stage patina. Good stuff. Glad to hear it. So this is the second one. So this is what I'm doing tonight. So it's a bit of a dull job, this, but that's why you have spare spray guns dirt cheap on eBay. Just put them away in the pack up. Yeah, well, I did have it, but unfortunately it has packed up on me. So I haven't got another one at the moment that I could transfer this stuff into. I will do. I'll get one, because you can get them everywhere, can't you? Like it, pound shops and stuff, you know, catering shops, and yeah, and off eBay and things. I just haven't got one. But at least doing it this way as well, I can also actually see exactly where it is. I mean, if you really wanted to be sure about it, I would spray it once, leave it to dry overnight, and then spray it again the next day, and you'll get a real solid thing. As I say, it's a really good way of just basically solidifying any kind of scatter terrain or anything you've got. And if it does look a bit shiny the next day, you can either paint it like I do, or you can just give it a varnish, and either works really. So I'm just getting to a point where I'm running out of stuff, getting my fingers in there to get it. Right. Nearly got it. It's like feeding a baby cow or something. Basting a turkey. The thing is, I don't have a better one of these either. If I had a better one of these, you know what they say, don't you? Improvise, adapt, adopt, overcome, and all that. What's everybody else painting tonight? Tell me that. While you're sitting there watching me squirt this stuff all over, which is bizarre, after all. We do some weird things in this hobby. So, I think I've got everything there. So I'm completely covered now. So Just give it the last couple of squirts out. As I said, this is one of those things where more is more, basically. The more you can get on there, the better, because it will just solidify completely overnight, and it'll be a great sealant for you. So what I'll do later on is I'll wash that pot out with the little bit of PVA in it and get rid of that. Let me just blow off some of those bits and pieces. And that's over on the radiator. Sorry, it's very extreme when people leave, isn't it? Guten Abend to you, Julian. Let's have a look. Feeding a baby cow. I've done that. Must have been similar to this. Joe, more 28mm USMC Marines. Light at the end of the tunnel. Good stuff. Keep going until they're finished. Going to be painting some ACW Iron Brigade minis in 20mm. That's sculpted 3D printed myself. Nice. 15mm Thracian peltasts. Okay, I don't know whether I know what Thracians are, but I don't know what peltasts are. You're not painting, you're sorting out your Merca file for 3D printing. Good stuff. Chilean Infantry Battalion 28mm. There's Paul with his obscure South American wars. Excellent stuff. Evening decks. 15mm British Civil War Parliamentarian Cavalry. Coming to the end of a project. Good stuff. Keep working it. Bad Squiddo Soviet females on the go. Polish Army Cavalry. Also nearly finished. 15mm Eureka 7 Years War Cannons and Artillerists. Nice. So in your 172nd Africa Corps, doing a test mini, as I forgot what colours to do. That's always the way. That's the thing I do. Andrew, is I will always write everything down in a little book. Whenever I start a new project or something, I will always write it down. So I've got British Malaya, Japanese Malaya, Soviets, Germans, British World War One, Germans World War One, Judges even, though I'll probably never paint any more of those. It's Star Wars Rebels. It shows you actually what I've gone through as well. So how to paint railways even, Romanians, Germans, Americans, Fallschirmjäger, Americans in World War II. And then also how to paint roof lichen. That came from Joe over on Twitter. I'm going to do some of those on those buildings. Then also British Late War, Colonial Marines for aliens, British 14th Army. And then working out all group numbers. And then on the back of this I've also got a couple of campaigns I played for Chain of Command as well, if people remember those, the Malaya campaign and also the Curse campaign. So a little book, my wife gave it to me. Look, it says, "From Claire, your amazing wife, kiss kiss kiss," and I just write that in so I know exactly what I've got. Anyway, where were we at? Making trees using woodland scenics, armatures and rubberized horsehair. Nice. 28mm Baron's War Mounted Knights. Hi Terry, didn't realise it was streaming tonight. Yeah, I just thought I'd do one tonight. Terry, absolutely ripping off Sonic Sledgehammer because he did one this morning, so I thought I'd do it. Rat, currently working but planning on finishing for Tiger 2 diorama for contest this weekend. Nice. It is a good idea, Joe. Thank you. I have to find something to paint now. Just finished some more PSC 1300 Hurricanes. Excellent. I've got a big bag of those for a special announcement that I'm going to do when my subscribers get to a certain amount. So stay tuned for that. You were working on German World War One. Excellent. 10.5 centimeter H9809 from Hat. It's on 72nd. Changing heads from Turkish to German. Okay, I'm adding buttons. Something to publish. Well, this book. No, I wouldn't say so. Because most of these recipes have pretty much come from somebody else, so it'd be plagiarism. Right, so I've shown you how we get the stuff on here. Now I'm going to show you how I get this stuff, the actual foliage itself, into these. So this is my big box of trees, and I've worked it out. I've got about four trees on each of the bases, so I know that that's how many I'm going to put on each base. I'll probably usually put maybe one or two big tall ones and a couple of small ones just to give it different bits of shape, and also you can get in. And then I've also got as well a bit more greenery here as well, which will also be added to the bases. And then to finish them off, I will then add some tufts. So these are some of the ones from the old bases, but I've also got a huge box of tufts down here, which I'll grab in a second. So I'm hoping I'll probably get these finished tonight. That's the plan. This looks like it's, unless it's, oh, it's just sitting on something. I thought it wasn't flat to the floor. So the way to do it, get yourself a nice sharp little implement like this, and literally, because it's got a CD on the bottom that's fixed in, I can just jab into this. All it does is I'm breaking through the plaster and then into the foam itself, nice and easy. Just work out a reasonably biggish hole like this. Blow the plaster out, take hold of one of our palm trees here, just get the rest of the crap off it from the old one, and then what I do is I kind of just carve it into a point at the end, not a sharp point, but just enough so that it will go into that hole a lot easier. So just something like that, nice and easy, and then just check that it actually fits into the hole. Nope, it needs to be a little bit wider. So I just need to open this up a wee bit. There we go. That should do. There we go. So then that sits in nice and easy like this. But one thing you could do is leave those holes and then take the things out so they're easier to, even in general, for friends in General Hague, you could take them in and out if you wanted to. But the problem with that is every time you take them in and out, you're going to widen that hole, so it's just going to get worse and worse. So I'm fixing them in because I've got really useful boxes that are big enough that will take these trees in, no problem. So dab of super glue. You could use hot glue here if you wanted, but I'm not. I won't be using that super glue because it's gone. So we'll find another one that hasn't gone yet. And this one's probably gone as well, but let's just have a look. So a little dab of super glue. You could use the hot glue gun here, but I'm not. I'm using super glue. And then literally just stick that in there. Bam, you're done. Nigel says, tried making your own trees using armatures and flocks over the PVA. They took an age to dry. Yeah, they do. That's the problem. They do take a hell of a long time. You're better off probably putting them in the boiler room if you've got one in your house, or just sitting, during Christmas, during winter at least, just putting them on a radiator. But yes, they do take a hell of a long time. But once they're done, they are as solid as a rock. Okay, so I'm going to put this other one on here as well somewhere. I want to kind of just put them in a bit all over the place. So we'll carve this down again. This is kind of the fun bit, really, the decorating part of it. It's quite nice. 27 viewers, 17 likes. Come on, get those likes up. Of course, well, hit dislike if you dislike, if you don't like it, either or. But just hit that button. And also, if you're not subscribed, do subscribe. It's all good. Let's have a look. Oh, this is the hardest part, is just making the thing wide enough, really. But you can kind of push it in because it's only foam. It's only foam board. And as I say, because you've got a CD at the bottom of it, it just stops you going too far through it. And because you've got that 5mm of hold on the base itself, it's just enough to hold these things in place. There we go. What are we saying here? Use some 3M Super 77 spray glue to flock the horsehair with Scenic Express Super Leaf when done. Use a rattle can lacquer to finish it. Yeah, sufficiently tough, I can imagine. You're making hedges with silt matchsticks for the twiggy bits in this week. Silt or split. Working on some 10mm Marian Romans, putting them on Little Big Men shield transfers. I had some of those when I was doing some Romans for Infamy. I'll be making some 10mm jungle terrain soon. For the Romans, well, I suppose North Africa, I guess. And so that's a couple of tall ones. I want to put a couple of small ones. You missed a start, sorry, but what are the scale of these, and are those commercial palm trees? These are going to be for 15mm decks, but they will fit with pretty much anything. Obviously, you just have to scale the trees to different sizes. But I got the trees. The trees are commercial. They came from eBay. I just did a search for them. You can get loads of them for pennies from China, and I think I got a couple of bags of like maybe 30 of them. Split matchsticks. Yeah, I thought those that was the way, Gary. And then I just, as I said at the start, I give them a wash in Agrax on the trunks, and then just lightened up the edges of the fronds in yellow with a yellow dry brush, just because they look a little bit plasticky otherwise. But that's all you need to do. But yeah, they're dead cheap. Unfortunately, I checked earlier on my old jungle terrain video, and unfortunately the link for the ones that these ones I got is now dead. So you just have to have a search on eBay and just look, just have a look for a multi-pack of plastic palm trees. There's tons out there because they just sell them. And also the other ones, these ones here, the ones with the longer fronds and stuff, these are aquarium plants, so you can just get tons of those. Again, next to nothing, and you can just use those to decorate the base of the things. Well, it's entirely up to you really what you want to do with the base, because if you want to, you can put, you can leave it like this basically. You could just have a few trees on it and leave it at that, so you can get figures in. But I want them a bit more jungle-is. I want the jungle is massive, so I add more stuff to them basically. Because I'm only using 15mm figures, it's not a problem because 15mm figures will get around easy. Terry, I saw you on a Channel 4 archaeology programme the other day, digging up some First World War artillery stables. That's right. Yeah. That was my project up at Catterick. That was on thingy, digging up Britain's past. I can't remember which one it was. So, my old postie recognised me off it. She said when she came to deliver some stuff, she said, "Were you on telly last night?" Yeah, I was. That was back in 2019. We were going to go back in 2020, but obviously the whole world came to an end at that point. Right, so as I say, you could, if you wanted to put more palm trees on there, you could put normal tree. You could put any other trees on there as well if you wanted to, and you got a really nice tree base. Really simple, dead effective. I'm going to add more foliage to this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put more trees onto these ones first, and then I'm going to come back and do the smaller foliage and just add that stuff and get those finished off, and then that will be, I think that's going to be my task for tonight. Once I've done these, I'm going to be done. So we'll work through until they're done, and I've already done 3 of them, so that'll be 6 out of about I think, can't remember how many I've got, maybe about 12 or 13 to do. But what I do with the jungle trees is I merge them in with other trees as well, because I've got a load of other trees, because jungles aren't just palm trees. But there are palm trees in Singapore and Malaya, and I know there is because I've eaten coconuts off a palm tree in Singapore. Okay, no 10mm World War II island hopping, waiting on some Bendraken Marines to cross the pond. Good stuff. Monkeys, parrots and toucans. Yeah, you could do. If I could find 15mm parrots and toucans and monkeys, then yeah, I would have. I'll put some in just as a little decoration on the base. But like Napoleonic civilians, nobody makes them in 15mm. So if there's any 15mm manufacturers listening, Napoleonic civilians and 15mm monkeys, please. And then we'd all be very happy. Carl Burke says, aquarium plants, I disguise the hole in the middle with decorative beads shaped like the roads, so please paint them green to match. That's a good idea. What I've been doing as well, Carl, because yeah, you've got, there's a big lump there. What I'm doing on these ones, I didn't on the originals, but I'm going to on these is put the grass tufts in there, so you've got like a little sprout of something coming out as well. And you could always put different colour ones in as well. But yeah, the beads is a good idea. I've not thought of that. Actually, speaking of beads, I saw that Rich Clark of the Two Fat Lardies was building a house for Hong Kong the other day, and he used a little bead, and he'd put some grass tuft flowers in the top of it, and it was like a little what do you call it, a little flower pot outside the building. It looked brilliant. It was a really good idea. Irregular do a 15mm monkey up a palm tree. Of course, irregular do monkeys in 15mm. I'd be surprised if they don't do them like in 2mm as well. They do everything. You can 3D print those items in resin. Well, that is a good point. I've still apparently got a 3D printer on its way to me. I was supposed to get one last year from what they call My Mini Factory. It hasn't turned up because they were going to give me a newer model. I don't know which one, so don't ask, but I'm still kind of waiting on that. The last I heard about a month ago was that they were sourcing it out for me still, so it's one of those things I can't really be chasing them about it because it's something that's free. So I don't. If it turns up, it turns up. But then that will be a very dangerous thing if I end up with a 3D print, I think. But we shall see. And the thing is, they are, the future of the hobby for sure, without a doubt. Let's just get these done here. Just to go in here. So it's quite a nice little relaxing time to decorate these bases. If your super glue doesn't run out, so that is. Don't worry, I've got some more kicking about. I think that one might be dead now. It only has a shelf life, a certain set shelf life anyway. There we go, get that in. Right, so I'm going to get rid of that. Use white beads on power poles to represent wire attachment. Yeah, I can imagine that looks good as well. Right, he says he's got some super glue somewhere. There we go. I knew I had some. Buy it in bulk and you never run out, do you? Instead of just buying one. So we've got 27 watches at the moment. Say hello if you're out there. If you haven't said hello yet in the chat, introduce yourself. Say hello if you want to throw any questions out. Ask me what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it. If you want to ask me anything else as well, please do. AMA, ask me anything. Market Storm Steel, printed palm trees, yeah. Printed 3D printed palm trees. Yes, good idea. That might be an idea, a way to go. Plan on putting in a screw or nail up through the base to attach my new palm trees. That's a good idea as well, Richard. That would work quite well. That would just hold them in place quite easily. I just didn't have the means to do it when I first did these ones. You pinch some of your wife's bead craft kits to make shot. Oh, shot, yeah, for your War of the Roses. War of the Roses, 15mm artillery. Looks pretty good, yeah. I can imagine it does actually. It's a good idea. For little cannonballs and stuff. I could do it for Napoleonic ones as well, actually. I've not thought about that. Because I've got a couple of cannons for my sharp practice stuff. 15mm, so if I were to get some tiny beads, I'm fairly certain they'd look pretty good as well. Oh, there we go. That's a couple then. Alright, just want to put another small one in here. So I want to break up the different size of them. Are there Zeppelins in algae? Fighter intercepts perhaps. There's no particular rules for them, but they'd be pretty easy to work out, to be honest. you just I suppose you'd have to have a particular damage table for them. I don't have any Zeppelins myself. I can't remember if there's balloons in it. There's certainly Archie. I can't remember if there's balloons, but the closest I've got to Zeppelins is this Zeppelin Strachan. Don't know if you can see that. It's huge, absolutely huge, this boy. It's lovely though, really nice kit, and that's the closest I've got to a Zeppelin Strachan. Mr. 10mm, first time I'm actually watching one of these live. Good stuff, good to have you on. Usually timing doesn't work out, so I'll watch them back later. Anyway, nice to see it live for once. Working on some 10mm World War II Brits for O Group. O Group, good stuff. Great game. Kevin says, I bought a bag of cheap £1 wild jungle animals for my 28mm World War II games. Good stuff. Zebras and monkeys and the like. Let's get these ones done and out of the way. Quensai, hi all. Hope you're having a good day. Keep up the good content. Thank you all very much. I will. Nigel, I'm playing 6mm ECW on Saturday, which will make a change from 28mm 39 Polish campaign. I'm sure it will. I don't think I've ever played a English Civil War game. It's not really, well, as I said in that video the other day, my interests are really within 3 relatively strict categories. So I rarely play much else outside of those. But down at the club, I've played a few other bits and pieces here and there. I don't mind them, but I kind of have to have that spark of interest. I think really, don't just, I'm not just going to play a game for the sake of it. I want to play it because it's. Hi, Polski's Revenge. Gary, why are you so interested in World War I aircraft? Well, what a question. I've got no idea, Gary. But strangely enough, First World War aircraft interest goes back all the way back to when I was a nipper. And I just don't know where it came from. But I think I mentioned this possibly in another video, that when I was 11 or 12 at school, at comprehensive school, we had to do a stand-up in English, or sort of like, one of those crappy lessons that don't really mean anything. And now we had to do a talk on something for 5 or 10 minutes, and I did mine on the Fokker interrupter gear. So my interest in the First World War aircraft was all the way back there. I think it's because it's so from 100 years on, it's so primitive and crazy that looking at it nowadays, you would never think of even flying in one of those things because of the planes that we have now. I know people do, obviously, like the Shuttleworth collection, but they're just the crackersness of it, because they didn't understand physics. They didn't understand the physics of flight, really. So you have all kinds of really weird aircraft that just developed because you've got a lawnmower engine on the front and some wings on it, and it'll take off. So yeah, that'll do. Get it in the air. The fact that they were completely unprotected, they're literally in string bags firing at each other with machine guns. The incredible bravery of them in the first place to go up in those things, and then also to fight one another in them, is incredible to me. And it's a real weird sense of history, because I was reading, I think it's Mick Mannock's book, Flying Fury. I think it was Flying Fury. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in that, he's talking in the first couple of chapters, he's talking about another thing. Obviously, motor engines are pretty unique and new, and he's messing about on a motorbike on that, and he's talking about this kind of off the subject is why I like him, but it's always stuck with me. He's talking about he managed to get his motorbike up to 30 miles an hour, and he thought that was amazing. And you just think, God, yeah, I mean, at the time he must have been. So it's like you've got these planes that are doing like 70 miles an hour in the air, fighting one another, but they're the height of technology at the time. We look back at them 100 years later and think that's just, that's crackers. That's like a kite with a lawnmower on it. But the fact that they were using them and using them well as well, for their job. So I don't know why the interest is there. I think it's just a combination of things. It's always been there. I can't remember what first struck me about it. I've always been interested in them as a nipper. So it's just something that's always stuck with me. It's one of the things, isn't it? But I suppose I've always liked aeroplanes ever since I was a kid, because I liked Second World War aeroplanes as well. But I liked First World War aeroplanes even more so. Anyway, a long rambling answer. Wild animals are good game encounters and historical. True that. Make a unit choose between exposing themselves or defending against the animal size. Good idea. Bit of role playing. You're planning on picking up some 50mm PSC models for Chain of Command. Excellent. Enjoy watching it. I want to try it out. It's a great game. It's my favourite game. Got mostly 50mm terrain. Good stuff. Beads are obviously handy. I use them on steel wire pikes to form ball and shaped grip for lancers on 17th century poles. Aircraft development during the First World War was made. Yes, that's another thing as well. You look at the Wright Flyer was the first plane to fly in 1904, and then by literally 14 years later, you've got things like the Fokker D8 and Fokker D7. Was the D7 was actually banned for production in Germany under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles because it was so good. And it's to go from that, from literally what was a kite with an engine on the front of it, to those kind of aircraft in 14 years. I mean, obviously you've got the impetus of the war which pushes that development anyway. But yeah, just from the beginning to the end of it, crazy. Talk about a learning curve. And it's brilliant stuff. I just think they're beautiful aircraft as well, and also the different colours, especially on the German side, because obviously the British, the RFC, they frowned on them painting them different colours, so you don't get it so much. But the Germans, I mean, the flying circuses, and they weren't called flying circuses because of the colours. Do you know why they were called flying circuses? I shall tell you. It's because of the peripatetic nature of their use. They used to move up and down the front where they were needed. So that's why they were called the flying circuses, because they moved around a lot, not because of how they looked. Evening there, Andrew. Good to have you on board. Go and check out Andrew's YouTube, everybody. Firepower Gaming by Wargamers for Wargamers. Go over there and give the man a subscribe. He deserves it. Let me just have a look at these, because I've got 2 drying and I've got a load of palm trees here, so I might actually put a couple more on some of these. Let's just count them out. So I want to keep a couple of these off for the other 2 I've got over there. National Military Museum in Brussels, excellent collection of First World War aircraft. Well, I didn't realise. I'll have to go there. I've not been to Brussels, so I'll have to check that out. So 2 of them. That's 4 I've got. 6, 8. Okay, so if I put another one in there, and then that leaves me 3 to mess about with here. I'll take a small one for this lot. I can put a couple together, you see. That'll be nice, won't it? Aircraft has a 3rd dimension to warfare, similarly to adding firelocks to foot troops. Yeah, exactly. It's a revolution in military affairs, isn't it? Basically, you're pushing the boundaries of what can be done, and what was done as well. And if anybody tries to tell you that Douglas Haig was against the aeroplane, it's not true. He was very much in favour of it after watching the original, the manoeuvres where they first used aircraft, I think in 1912. And they used aircraft to be able to spot the enemy. They did a war game, and he became a big advocate of aerial warfare. Can have 2 diddy trees, 2 little trees together. But look, you can see how solid these are compared to what they were before on the other ones. So they're nice and solid. Evening, Miller's Miniatures. Good to have you on board. And let's just do these last couple, and then I'm going to start on the foliage. What time have we got? It's only 8:30. I'm going up to Scotland tomorrow, so I want to try and get these things finished off before I go. If I can finish these 3 tonight, then that's a good thing, and I can do the other ones when I get back on Friday, because Thursday night, if I'm not too knackered, I'll go down the club. And at least that's the plan. Just get these cleaned up, ready to go in. Problem is now there's tons of plastic everywhere, so I'm going to have to get the hoover out as well. Could probably end up using the plastic somewhere, somehow. Maybe as rubble, perhaps, if I can find all the bits. Right, where are you going to go? I'll have a little think about it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a small one on there. I'll put a small one by the big one. That'll be nice. It's nice to have a big one and a small one. 30 viewers, 24 likes. Hit that like button, folks. And also, if you aren't subscribed, do subscribe. And also share the link to the stream as well. Stick it on your social medias. Let's get more people in. Here we go. Oh, I'm joined by Tiny. Don't know if you can see her behind me or not. There we go. Another one. So we've got 2 little trees there. I'm going to stick this last one on here. So now we've got quite a nice mix of trees on here. There's Tiny. And where should the last one go on here? Trying to make it balanced, you see, but without it being too obvious that it's balanced. I'm just trying to wonder where they are. These are the bases that will be featuring the game at CrackCon. Yes, that's one of the reasons I'm redoing them, because the old ones were a bit weak. But yes, these ones are an upgraded version, and they will be coming with me to CrackCon. So sign up for the game if you're going. Sign up for the Game of O group. I suppose I best read the rules before I get there as well, haven't I? Right, okay, so that's the last of the palm trees that I'm putting in these ones. So what you could do, as I said before, is you could just leave them at that. And they're perfectly fine, because then you've got space around them to put figures in and things. You can mess about, and you've got delineation as to where the jungle area is. So you could say, right, well, you can only see 4 inches into that bit. But I'm not stopping there, because I've got these bits, and I'm going to be putting these in as well. There's little Tiny. I don't know if you can see her behind me or not. Let's have a look, see what we're saying. Have I been to the Imperial in Manchester? There was an SE5A. I have been to the Imperial War Museum in Manchester, but I don't remember seeing the SE5 at Manchester, Kev. There was one. I saw one in what's it called? In the Military Museum in South Africa, in Johannesburg. There's one there. Gary's sitting here painting Phil Grout on some German Grenadiers. Paint drying too quickly, so I can see some virtue of a wet palette. Don't tell we Yorkshire gamer though. You like that too much, don't you, Tiny? You got anything to say to everybody? Right. The only reason I get the cat here is just to get clicks, because everybody likes cats on the internet, don't they? Right, so what I've got here is got some of these little tiny aquarium plants. Tiny looks happy. Yeah, she's very happy. She just sits there staring at me. She's a little freak. But we love her. Right, so this is dead easy because I don't even have to make these particularly big. These are really small, so literally just punch a hole in. Remember, leave that in so I remember where the hole actually is. And then stick it in with some super glue on the end. Bang, done. And that's it. Evening done. Good to have you on board. How are you doing? What are you painting this evening? I'm sure probably he's already painted about 3 or 4 armies since it's 8:30. So same again. Little blue glue. Drop that in there. Bang. Done. Nice and easy. Again, these ones I did originally use some watered down brown paint on them. It's kind of come off a little bit, so I might actually come back to these at some point with a bit of a wash, just with some what's the word? Like an Agrax wash or something, just to dull them down a little bit because they're a little bit bright at the moment. Let's have a look what I was saying. Brett, have you tried the new Army Painter Speed Paints? No, I haven't, but I've heard that they react when they're wet again. I think they were maybe talking about it on the podcast last night, on the Plastic Crab podcast, but we were also talking about it on Discord as well. And Sonic Sledge was talking about it as well on Twitter the other day. And I think, yeah, the thing is, I think you put them on, they dry, and if you go back to paint over the top of them, it reactivates, and then it just mixes with the paint that you put on top of them. Somebody did an experiment, and I can't remember the name of the channel, but he basically showed that they all react. So army painters say that what you should do is really varnish after you've painted, and then do your highlights or whatever. Have I used them? No. The only contrast paints I've got are a couple. I think I bought about 4 ages ago when they first came out. What have we got? Have we got them kicking about in here somewhere? Typhus Corrosion. No. And where they are? No. That's a little yellow. What we got here? Zamizi Desert. No. They were for Juice Dread. I can't even find them. But I know I had some contrast paints because I wanted to try them out. There we are, Dark Old Flesh. That is the only. That's the only contrast paints I've got. Am I going to get a speed paint? Nah, I'm not interested. I've got my painting technique. I know how to do it. You know, if it works for you, then great. But I'm not really attracted by shiny stuff. Dom's painting 28mm Landsknechts, so not a full army. A 96-man pipe block, is it, Dom? So, from my point of view, I mean, I'm not that fussed. I'm quite happy with the Vallejo stuff that I've already got. You know, it works. I've got a technique that works for me, at least. And, you know, I'm not bothered about. I'm not that. I can paint pretty quick anyway without having to have something that speeds that up, if you know what I mean. But you know, don't let me stop anybody else buying them. If you want to buy them and if you use them, if you think they're great, then Bob's your auntie's living lover, isn't it? Don't bother. You know, it's whatever works for you. And I think it's one of those things as well. If it gets more people painting stuff, great. Yeah, fast painting horses. Yeah, I think I'll say. I know Martin over at Seventh Son has certainly done some in various contrast paints, and I think they look pretty good in some of his painting videos, and I'm fairly sure. But again, what I do is I'll block paint it in, if it's a brown horse, in beige brown, and then just give it an Agrax earth wash. And you've pretty much done the same thing there, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Tiny? What do you think about speed paints? You're not fussed, are you? You're old school, though, aren't you? You're like Foundry Triad, aren't you? You just paint everything black. Fair enough on the speed paints. They should have been more upfront about the reactivation issue. I think they tried to skirt around it, say one layer and done. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think you could, if you are just painting one layer and done, and you don't want to do loads and loads of layers on top of them, they're probably pretty good and they probably work. But obviously, you know, some painters want to go back and do other bits and pieces, like more highlighting on stuff and things, don't they? But yeah, I know what you mean. I suppose it's not such a bind because you could just varnish them, and then if you wanted to paint other stuff on top of that, then you've done it anyway. Right, so look, this is what I've done with this one. As you can see here, I've got a little bit more foliage on this one now. So instead of just having them as a bare base like that, I'm just adding a bit more. And then I'll come back in a bit and I'll put some more tufts on that, just again to break up the ground surface really as much as anything else. But don't let me stop people buying speed paints. You know, if you want to buy them, buy them. If it suits your painting style, then use it. At the end of the day, you know, it's a hobby. It shouldn't be difficult. It should be enjoyable. And if you find using speed paints or whatever, even in Leslie, if you find using speed paints enjoyable, then that's a job done as far as I'm concerned. They've done their thing. You know, there's no point making it more difficult for yourself. I certainly don't. It's just the way I paint. I don't need to do it with speed paints. I mean, you know, if I wanted to get thousands of views, then I could probably buy a pack and do a video on them. But ain't nobody got time for that. I'm happy ploughing my own furrow. So who else is out there? I've got 33 viewers tonight. Come on, give us a shout, everybody. Say hello. Introduce yourself. It's a friendly place here. You all are welcome. Apart from Ken, a Yorkshire gamer, of course. He's not welcome. No, he is really. He is really. Best not say that in case he watches the catch-up. Get in. There we go. Your camera is dropping. I shot the mouse. I thought the mic might be chasing it. Camera is dropping. Let me sort that out. See if that's any better. The problem is because I've not had this any of this stuff set up for a while. I took it all down a while back and I forgot about it, and so it's not been nothing is in its place as it was. Is that better? Unfortunately, I'm getting some lag on my OBS, so I'm not seeing it as fast as I should be. There we go. Let's go for this. The problem is, when you're doing stuff like that, so you're trying to put random things on bases, they never end up really random, because you try to not make them not random, which inevitably turns them into a pattern. If that follows. I can use loads of these because I've got tons of these aquarium plants just sitting in a box down here by me. What do you say? I spray varnish all my minis anyway. I'll probably still get a smaller set of speed paints. Try them out and have some more options. Yeah, exactly. I mean, try it out. See what happens. Can't hurt, can it? At the end of the day. They might work, they might not do. I varnish everything as well anyway. I just don't varnish it halfway through the painting process. I'll wait till the end. You should be a film director, Leslie. Is the painting studio in the same room as your gaming table? Yes, it is. The gaming table is right behind me. I'd show you, but I can't move the camera. It's fixed in position. Let me just go over onto OBS and I can sort this out a bit easier. Over there. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. I think that's probably better. Just take a second to catch up. Yeah, my studio is in the same room as the thing. If I can, I don't know if I can just turn this around and show you. If you can see, I don't know if you can see there, but that's the gaming table right behind me. So it's up in the loft, the war room, as my wife calls it. Dex says, I don't know if it's expressly Lard influence, but I seem to spend more time on terrain and figures these days. Yes, me too. And that is 100% down to Lardy stuff. Absolutely. Film director. You ordered some non-metallic speed paints, just waiting on them. Okay. Non-metallic speed paints. Well, report back, everybody. Let me know how you get on with the speed paints. I'll be interested to know, because it's always nice to see these new products coming out. And, you know, as I said, I did say before, I'll say it again. If you get somebody painting, and if you get someone into the hobby, then I'm all for it. Stuff like, you know, like the Epic Warlord stuff. It's, you know, some people kind of went off on it a bit. You know, just because it was a slightly different scale. But, you know, if a couple of young kids pick up the box set for Christmas or whatever and then end up playing Napoleonics out of it, wham, bam, it's finished, done its job. As far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that's a topic for another time. We've got a bunch in. Hi, Red Steph. Good to have you on board. You enjoy painting terrain and vehicles. Struggle for painting figures. Yeah, I like terrain and vehicles quite a lot as well. I like the terrain because you're a bit more freer with it. It's not a uniform, is it? You can kind of go a bit crazy. Mr. Blue says, first time catching a live show. Good afternoon. Evening. Working on Gale Force 9 Russian Church. Oh, okay, I didn't know they did churches. Building a collection for Eastern Front 15mm to introduce Chain of Command to the local game store. Good stuff. Spread the lard. Spread the lard. And specifically Chain of Command. I never really enjoyed scratch building terrain. I found a number of trench sections using dry air clay. Yeah, I did it out of necessity really, and then I kind of think I've got enough money to actually to spend on decent looking terrain, not a half-assed job that I've done. But then here I am scratch building terrain. But this is pretty simple scratch building. You enjoy scratch building terrain. So yeah, I do and I don't. Buildings and stuff. I mean, I built loads of them when I was a kid out of foam cord. But they're the ones I'm going to get rid of soon. Now I've got all those ones from Paul. But yeah, I wouldn't do it now, I don't think, because it just takes so long. And then you see somebody with the skill and talent of Joe Bilton, and he just leaves everybody else's stuff in the dark. It's like, well, what's that? Oh, I can't even be bothered. It's a great palette cleanser. Yes, it is, because it's not like having to end an army, is it? You just build a house and it's done. It's done and done. Brett, I finally found a US distributor with Chain of Command and Sharp Practic installed. Looking forward to getting Lardy. Good stuff. And two of their best games as well. Brett, go on over to my Algae Pulls It Off video and you'll get a free copy of Algae in the description of that video. Red Steph, just pieced together a Warlord SIG 33. Yes, love it. 15mm howitzer. What a pain in the arse. I've got a 15mm one that I got for rapid fire years ago that I used in Stalingrad for a Stalingrad build for rapid fire, which I'm probably now playing O group quite happily. But yeah, the SIG is such a beast of a tank. Lovely thing. But I can imagine a 28mm one being a pain in the bum. You don't recommend this Russian church. It's fragile and doesn't fit together well without some Careful sanding. Okay, that's interesting to know. Have a look at things like places like Sarissa. They'll do some nice ones in MDF. A little bit more pricey than you'd normally expect, and they are pretty good. And they are lovely builds as well. Let me just show you. I've got a Sarissa Colonial building here, which is built, but I'm just waiting to paint at some point. And that's it. What else are we saying? Painted a few 28mm American Indians. I made your own skin tint to start. Okay, interesting. So how am I building up my BOA for O group? Well, I'm just using the 15mm ones that I've got really, and I just use those as an individual house as a BUA. Just do it like that really, because there's no set size on them. Because most of my houses now have got gardens and stuff, so you can say, well, that's a BUA in itself. Are there army lists in the O group rules? Yes, there are. There's German, British, American and Soviet battalions, and then there's also just released the 1940 Fall of France. Well, I say just released, it was last year. 1940 Fall of France supplement, which has obviously French and early German battalions in it as well. But to be honest, they're pretty simple. It's a battalion and then some extras. So your battalion is each company made up of 3 platoons. Each platoon is made up of three sections, and then 3 companies to a battalion, and each one of those has a company commander, and that's about it really. Charlie Foxtrot's MD, yes, Charlie Foxtrot's are great stuff, really good. Love painting the minis and painting them, but building terrain and kit bashing is where I fall down and glue my fingers together and get bits everywhere. That's always a problem. Speaking of pain in the arse, painting 28mm eyes right now. Don't bother, Joe. Just a little wash of Agrax in the eye sockets. Leave it at that. Don't even bother. I've never. I haven't painted an eye on a figure since I was about 15. Literally no point. Kevin Dallimore once said. I think it was Kevin Dallimore. Kevin Dallimore said that he basically paints a tiny dot of yellow in the eyes. That was something I read years and years and years ago, and that's it. It doesn't do anything else because it just gives a tiny little bit of a look of life in there. 6-inch square footprint. Okay, well, I've not read the rules for a while, so I will take your word for it, Leslie, that it's a 6-inch square. Why paint the eyes on 28mm minis? Exactly. Foreground also have 9 MDF. They do. Foreground do have very nice stuff, but it's all pre-painted, isn't it? Put a few licking. I put a few licking and the odd tuff here and there. Yeah. Foreground are good, but they're expensive. Try not to do 28mm eyes. Just leave brown recesses. Yeah, there you go. Like I say, I would probably just a little dot of yellow if you want to add a little bit of life to the eye. Right. I'm going to put one more of these on here. You can see how these are nicely getting filled up with all this stuff. And all I'm doing is just gluing these things down here. But I've not finished yet. I'll get those set in. It'll work. Right. Not in the rules, just down doing them. Well, yeah, 6-inch will be a perfect size. I use 6-inch built-up areas for Blucher, but I've done. I play it in 6mm, but I've done the built-up areas in 2mm, so you can get more on. So it looks like a village or a town or something. It just looks nice. You know, it's not the scale. And I think what you could do really with O group is you could do them in 10mm if you're doing it in 15. You know, do it the size down if you wanted to. But yeah, mine. I'm just using my 15mm buildings because I can't be bothered to buy a load of new buildings and paint them. I've already got a massive box of them here. And a glutton for punishment. That's fair enough, if that's what you like. Right, so now I've got all these tufts. This was that box of tufts that I got from Warpainter Scenics. Check them out, warpainter.net. Check them out. They do a box of tufts. I think it was about 12 or 15 quid, you get like literally hundreds, a big mix of them. There's all sorts in here, everything you could ask for. Everything for the tuft aficionado. So I'm going to be sticking some of these down now onto the bases here. And then that's probably going to be about it, to be honest. I think I'm going to be done for tonight. There's not a great deal more I want to do. I'm just going to pull a few of these out just to add a bit of colour and a bit of flavour to the bases. So there's quite a few there. 36 man Napoleonic battalion. It's a Mass Effect that counts. And perhaps just eyes on the officer. Yeah, that's it. It's all about the Mass Effect. Even at that size. Let me just reply to my wife. Well, she just sent me a message, but doesn't need a reply. So on we crack. So, tufts. This is one of those things where you could make them yourself, and it would be a relatively easy process because it's only a bit of glue and a thingy, a static grass maker. But then there's people like warpainter.net who make brilliant ones. So why would I do it? Because I'll never make them as good as these. Good value, yes, it's a great value. Well worth getting if they're doing some. I noticed last time I checked they had sold out, but they will be. I'm sure they'll probably do them again. So I'm just at the moment just putting some of these tufts in the centre of these bigger leafed things just to cover up that hole. And it also looks like there's a little bit more bush in there as well, keeping your bush nice and trim. Originally I'd done it with static grass, but it doesn't look very good. It just looks like a load of static grass glued down. Now at least it looks like a tree or something. How will I fit the bases together? They're not going to be fitted together, Nigel. This is it. They're because they're natural. I just want them to be like kind of like this. Really, it's going to designate an area. Because I've also got some individual palm trees that I'll put on as well on the table. So it's just kind of designating a small area of thick patch of jungle. I mean, if you wanted to, you could cut it out of MDF, but obviously that's a lot more trickier than doing it on CDs. Oh no, you dropped your mini in a wet pallet. Shite. Thoughts and prayers, Andy. Thoughts and prayers. We're all behind you, man. Hopefully you can pull it off and you can get back in the game. Yeah, I mean, the good thing about these tufts is literally just pull them off their backing paper, stick them on, and you're done. Bada bing, bada boom. There's lots of lovely little details you can chuck in there. Some 15mm monkeys. That's the next thing. We love our 15mm monkeys. Right. The problem is, there's some of these tufts are really nice ones, and I like them a lot. Like these ones, these they're just little green leaf things. So I'll keep using them because I like them, and then I can't use them on anything else. Shakos and sprues. I hope you missed all the fun. No, of course not. There's still more fun to be had. We're around for a while, don't worry. I'm not signing off just yet. You can't get the Warpainter tufts. The direct sales will be suspended for the moment. Maybe I bought their last load of them then, because I think I've checked back as well, and they weren't selling at the time. Well, just keep them on your watch list, Leslie, over on eBay, and I'm sure they'll come back online because they've been around for a while. There's also I don't know if they're the same people or not, but there's Tajima as well. Tajima 1, I think, is another one that sells tufts. Again, it's a decent price, so go and check those out. Well, I'm not sure if it's the same company or not. I can never remember. If anyone in chat knows, let me know. Yeah, so these are now. I've done these 3. I've got the other 3 over there that I've already done. So I've done quite a lot of these now. These jungle bases. So I just need to do the other ones. What I'd like to do is I'm playing a game of Chain of Command with Lee down at the club. Not this week, next week. And we're doing Far East because he wants to try out the Far East Malayan stuff. So it's half in my mind to get as many of these finished as possible for then, so I can get them on the table and used. You have to bail. Great work, Alex. Thank you, Nigel. Stay safe and good night, Nigel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. You can watch the rest on catch up. Not the same. Is that good though? That's the Tajima stuff. Yeah, I used to have theirs. Yeah. Since I've discovered the War Painter, I think they are probably much better. Tajima were the first ones I went to. We're looking jungle enough yet. Let's see if I've got any other longer, bigger, greeny ones. I'll stick a few of these on, these browner ones as well, because if they're undergrowth, they're probably not getting too much light. You've got to tell a story, haven't you, with terrain. Some there, it's got some nice colours on them. What I always do as well is so many choice for tough these days. No single vendor matters. No, they don't. It's preference, though, isn't it? Really. Cut all that crap off so I haven't got loads of paper flying about. There we go, there we go. You like the War Painter ones? Yeah, me too. That's what these ones are. Yeah, like I say, when they're as cheap as this, it's silly just to make your own. You may as well just use somebody else's talents who can do it a lot easier and better than I can. That's what I figure. Just going to put these last ones on, and I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Between you and Mel, you'll be able to do Burma in 1-to-1 ground scale. Malaya, Red Steph. I'm doing Malaya, not Burma. Earlier, I'm doing earlier stuff. The attack on Singapore. Japanese versus Indians. And the Rajputs and the Jats. Walkabout Games, hello all from Western Canada. Good to have you on board. Also working on Jungle at the moment while watching. Good stuff, good stuff. You got a tough maker, but I still end up buying them. Yeah, exactly. I just, like the Dead Kennedys say, give me convenience or give me death. If somebody else can do it better than I can, why should I struggle? This is where we're at. Going to put the last couple of these ones on, I think, and then I think I'm going to call these done, and I'm going to call it tonight as well. Just want to I don't want to put too many colours on because you don't get that many colours in jungles. It's mainly greens and browns. So I want to kind of break them up a little bit with a few other colours. So I'm sticking some of these down by the bottom of the trees, where you're going to also get growth as well. There we go. Right, stick them away. And that is that, I think. Am I going to do Chain of Command Burma eventually? Well, yes, I've got the 14th Army, so I've got a Chain of Command 14th Army platoon ready to go, so yes, I will do. I will certainly do some Burma at some point. I just don't know a great deal about it. Did I watch the World War II TV YouTube videos on Singapore? No, I didn't. Leslie, I don't really watch that many historical things on YouTube. I prefer to read about it, to be honest. So I've read quite a few books on the fall of Singapore rather than watching documentaries. That's just my thing. Dead Kennedys. What takes me back? All the way back. You made your own static grass applicator for less than $10 using a battery powered flower swatter. Tennis courts next. Yeah, that's a good idea. Like Rich Clark made some. He made he made some tennis courts for Malaya for their games. Cheers, Dex. Thank you very much. Gary's that nasty nip in the air. Dear me. So that's it, folks. I'm going to wrap up there, I think. I'm going to call it an evening. I've finished 3 more of those bases. I'm happy with them. It's just basically seeing how these work at the end. I'm going to do a proper full video on these so you see how they were made from the start anyway. And just to show you again the difference between this is the old one here and that's a new one. That's quite a difference as far as I'm concerned. I've just got to get the rest of these ones knocked up now. Oh, they're talking to the authors of the books, were they? Right, I shall say good night to all of yous, and thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button if you haven't done. Subscribe if you haven't done. Mini save, writing up, painting, diary now, good stuff. And I shall see you in the next video. There's another video coming out on Friday, which is a painting video of the British 95th Rifles. So check that out. That's just a short one, quick and dirty way of painting those quickly. And then I'll probably do another hobby update as well. I'll talk about these a bit more in that. And I will hopefully get another live stream out to you at some point as well. So good night, everybody. Thanks a million.